Hey everybody, Nathan here with Sampson Farms, and I'm sitting in what I like to call the salsa garden. And it's been a while since we done one, so let's have this little salsa garden tour. Stick with me, get right to it. That's right, like I said, we're having a salsa garden tour, and I want to take us around and show you how well this little garden's doing. Now, right here beside me, not traditionally anything for salsa, but this was a good spot for it. And this is not many people's favorite plant, and you either love it or you hate it, and there's usually not an in-between ground. And this is eggplant, and you see they produce this little very pretty purple flower. It's got the big broad leaves, kind of reminiscent of like comfrey, something of that nature. It's kind of velvety, a little hairy, but puts on eggplant. And this plant, it's probably got 3 or 4. It's got 3 or 4 on this plant, but the others have a ton more, and I have 5 plants planted, which is more than enough for my family and for us to freeze some. But right now, what I'm really cooking with it is ratatouille. I'm taking it and summer squash and zucchini and some tomatoes, onions, fresh stuff from the garden, and cooking it all together in some tomato sauce and really bringing it all together in a fresh little warm summertime treat, as long with breading it and frying it, because that's one of the better ways of eating it as well. But that's enough about the eggplants for now. Behind me, in my fallen over cages, but I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 cherry tomatoes, and they're about 7 foot tall. Not this one here, obviously, but that is it's like a 4 foot tall piece of American wire wrapped around to make a tomato cage. But down on the end I have one that's, if I was to stretch it out, it'd probably be 7 foot tall, and they're doing really well in ripening. We had a little bit of issue with some hornworms. Found them, fed them to the guinea bird. Worked out so far. Now this plant here, which grows peppers upright, and they stay upright even when they're ripe. And they stay upright even when they're ripe. This is a Tabasco pepper, and they'll go from this banana pepper color all the way to red. And everybody knows that Tabasco is what they use to make Tabasco peppers. And one of the reasons that they use that for is because Tabasco peppers are juicy. It's one of the only peppers that's filled with juice. It's not dry on the inside like a bell pepper or a cowhorn, habanero, any of the other peppers. So it makes them really easy to mash these and ferment them to make Tabasco hot sauce. And they're called Tabascos because the region in Mexico where they originally cultivated is the Tabasco region in Mexico. A little bit of pepper history for you in our garden tour. And I have two of these plants, one here and one right here. And I've got some peppers on there, about 1.5 inches. So they're growing real good. I'm real happy with them. Let me get situated. Now this pepper plant here, a lot of you have heard of it. I believe the actual name for it is the butt sholakia, but everybody tends to call it the ghost pepper. And I have two of them, one here and then one right here, and they are starting, hopefully they're going to get started putting on blooms before too long, and then I'll have some ghost peppers to dehydrate, and I like to put a little bit of that in our chili powder. It gives it a really nice taste without all the intenseness, because you just use a very little bit of this and mix it all together. So we have the Bojalakia that we just went over. So let's move up just a little bit and I'll show you another pepper that some might have heard of and some have not, but it's really cool. Alright, hold on to your lunch. Alright, now what we have here is called a cowhorn pepper, and if I'm not mistaken, it is a type of cayenne pepper, but it gets much bigger, like huge, and it looks like cattle horns. So I'm gonna see if I can get a good shot of that for y'all. Alright. So, here's one. And this is one of the skinnier ones. And it's probably about 8 inches long. Some of them get about an inch around at the top so far. Some of the ones that are turning red, already, they get about that big around at the top, and they get anywhere from 8 to 10 inches long, and they're supposed to be a pretty fiery pepper. It's supposed to be pretty good for those who like some of the hotter peppers. Now, and like most peppers, it puts on a really pretty little white flower, and then it falls off and it has this really tiny little bud that grows into something that massive, and it grows pretty quick. Like, you can miss it one day and then bam, there's a big pepper there. This one is actually a new variety for us this year that we're going to try out. Keep moving on. We're at the end of the second row, and this is a jalapeno, and I wouldn't say that unless I had tried these, and these peppers are absolutely not hot. Tastes like a jalapeno, but with none of the heat. And they put on pretty good sized little fat jalapenos. And I'm serious. It's not hot at all. Nothing to it. No heat. but they're absolutely delicious. And other than that, it's just like a jalapeno, and produces a jalapeno that tastes like a jalapeno and a bell pepper mixed together. Honestly, that's all it is. But it's 100% delicious. Now this little guy might be small in stature, but these little fruits it puts on, they pack a punch. This is a habanero, and the fruits on this one, they turn about orange, orangish red color, and they're not the hottest pepper out there, but this is usually what people start talking about when they start talking about hot peppers, is a habanero. And I've got 2 of these plants, one here and at the other end of the row, and I use them for hot sauces and pepper sauces and stuff of that nature, because they are absolutely delicious. Don't mind me as I eat my snack as we're going through the garden. Now this one, is a Bonnie green bell that a friend of mine gave me, and the fruits on this are quite large. I kind of like these. They get just a little bit bigger. Not so much bigger, but so much longer than some of the other bell peppers we grow. Like the plant right here. Ooh, plant vision. Now it has quite a bit more fruit, but they're kind of smallish. And they kind of grow the more square bell pepper everyone's used to, you know, short and stout. And we have 8, 9, 10 bell pepper plants. That the biggest plant is what we don't eat fresh. We'll mostly put in the freezer and save for until they come into season again next year. And then beside me here as well is the other habanero plant, and we have one fruit that's starting to turn yellow, but the rest of them are pretty well green. Now, some of these pepper plants are rather short out here. I've got one that actually let me stand up and talk to you about it. So bear with me, I'll be right back. Now here with me is our poblano pepper plant. And poblanos get to be a pretty good sized pepper. Kind of size wise, it's on range with like a it gets bigger than a bell pepper. Well, never mind. This is a small poblano, and when you let them ripen up and you dry them out, that's what they call a ancho pepper. And these things get big enough that you can stuff them. They are a hot pepper, but they're not overpoweringly hot. They work really well to stuff them, and it gives it a little bit of pepper heat, but it's not so overpowering that you wouldn't want to eat it. So it's a very versatile pepper. Here we have a more classic jalapeno. This is not one that I will take a bite out of and touch to my eye in any way, because it calls it a mild jalapeno. The tag says it's a mild jalapeno, but it's still got some kick to it. They're really good. They're really good to stuff with like pimento cheese and bake them or fry them or any way that you want to do a stuffed jalapeno. But these are really good, and I have really enjoyed them this year. Everybody that's bought some from me has enjoyed them as well, and they do great. They just keep constantly producing. As many as I pick off, it puts on more. And I have 2 of these plants. Here's one as well that's getting ready to be time for me to pick off of it again. And speaking of pimentos, this is a pimento pepper, and I have one down here that's starting to turn red, but the rest of them are green. And a lot of people know that pimentos are what a lot of people use for pimento cheese. Well, I've also come to find out that if you pick them green, you can cut them up and use them just like you would bell peppers. They taste almost exactly like a bell pepper does when they're green. So we've been, while we've been waiting on some of the bell peppers to get bigger and ripen up, we have been picking a few of these green and cutting them up and using them in place of bell peppers. That's just a neat little fact I didn't know before. I figured y'all might enjoy it as well. But when these pimento peppers start putting on, they start putting on from the bottom, like most plants do. But in this section here, there's 6 peppers, and then it just keeps going up. And it is absolutely just loaded with peppers all the way to the top. There's 10 or 12 peppers on this plant alone. And I have 2 of them that were starts that I bought like this, and I started some from seeds that are up farther that haven't started putting on peppers yet, but they're starting to bud out. The other pimento, now a lot of people know this pepper as well. This is a cayenne pepper, and this is a very small one, but you know that they get long and skinny and turn red. This is one that I started from seed. Oops, sorry. This is one that I started from seed, and I'm very happy with it. It's taken off. It's flowering, putting on fruit, which will make a lot of chili powder and stuff like that. And that's primarily what it's used for, is like chili powders and pepper flakes, and cayenne's used in a lot of stuff. But we have this one plant, it's doing extremely well, and it's loaded down with fruits. So I'm gonna have plenty of cayennes to dry and chew on later. This is the pimento that I started from seed. Doing really well. This little guy is one my son Eric started. We got the seeds at the shindig from Baker Creek, and it is a Brazilian starfish pepper. And I'm kind of excited to try this one out because I have never heard anything about it before, or ever seen it before. But we're giving it a shot. It seems to be doing all right. It had a kind of a slow start, but it's starting to catch up. In this row here, we have 8 plants of Rutgers type tomatoes, and they have started putting on fruit. They're still flowering, still getting taller, doing amazing at what they're doing. We have had some hornworm damage to some of them, but I believe we got most all of them, and they're bouncing back really well. They're doing really resilient, a lot more than the Roma tomatoes have. The Romas got hit, a little bit of damage, and they just started going downhill. But these plants are absolutely loaded down with tomatoes, but like a lot of people this year, they're just being slow to ripen. And as I was saying about the Roma tomatoes, this plant's about had it. This plant's about had it. That one's about had it, but the ones at the other end are doing okay. But it is what it is. Not much you can do about it, even being resilient. It's hard to catch all of the hornworms. You just can't fix everything all the time, no matter how hard you try. And that's okay. As long as you learn something from it, you're one step ahead, right? Now, that garden gets irrigation. This little raised bed over here gets nothing but natural rainfall. And these are some tomatoes that a buddy of mine gave to me. And yeah, they're packed in here really tight, but I was out of room for stuff like this by the time I got these. And there are all kinds of tomatoes. All kinds of tomatoes in here. I can't wait for them to ripen up. Some of them I won't wait for them to ripen up, because soon they'll be picked green once they get a little bit bigger. I'll fry them up. But that's pretty much all I have for y'all today. Kind of rambling on. Today's mine and the wife's anniversary, and I'm gonna edit this video and spend some quality time with her and let her know how much I love her. But anyway, as always guys, God bless and see you next time.